Hey everybody, welcome back to another Twofold Two Stack. I'm your host Nick Taylor, and today we're continuing to take a peek at TanStack Start. This is a meta framework in React from Tanner Lindsley and all the wonderful contributors and maintainers over at TanStack. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna drop the previous stream because we already went through some stuff last time. Just didn't have enough time to go through everything. Essentially, we were going through. Let me just drop this first on the jumbotron. Hey, how's it going, Rod? Thanks for joining. I feel like my eyeball is twitching for some reason. Maybe I had too much coffee this morning. I'm not sure. So yeah, like I said, we dug into TanStack Start last time. We're actually it's pretty awesome. Tanner Lindsley was actually in the chat, so like as we were going through things, he was commenting on some stuff. I found a couple issues in the setup that I believe he PR'd up already, so that was great. But we didn't have time to cover everything. So hey, how's it going, Daniel? Thanks for joining. So we got up to, it looks like we're at just learn the basics, which sounds kind of funny because like we did a whole thing before. But we were basically building TanStack Start from scratch. So we went over the overview, getting started, and the quick start and build from scratch. So we can kind of go over a few things here. And I'm going to zoom this in a bit. Just, whoops, I'm zooming StreamYard, not my browser window. And I'm going to go ahead and just share my browser, or my screen, I should say. Give me one sec here. Share screen. There we go. Cool. So you should be able to see my screen here. This is where we're continuing from. This is where we ended in the last stream. So I'll just drop that in the chat. I'll just mention a couple things. Like I've worked with TanStack Table, TanStack Router, and now I'm starting to mess around with TanStack Start, and they really do have top tier documentation. It's really good. Hey Giovanni, thanks for joining. I saw your message before. It didn't show up in today's live stream, but Giovanni was asking. Let me go back up in the chat here. Hi Nick, could you touch on how to create a pure SPA in TanStack Start? So only CSR without any SSR. You're not finding any templates. Yeah. So maybe they have one, but I think, I'm not saying this to sound lazy, but I think you just don't do anything SSR and you're probably good to go. But yeah, so you're saying you just want classic CSR. Yeah, no, that I get. Kind of like the good old create React app, but with all the TanStack goodness. Gotcha. I'm actually not sure if even just let me go to the project where we're working on. Let's just see here. Let me zoom in a bit. And let's see here. So we've got our app config. That's nothing. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, there's nothing there really. So the thing is, we have SSR here, and I'm guessing you could probably just omit it because we still have the route tree that gets generated as you add routes. But I imagine you could probably just not have the SSR and in there, and it should be good. But let's take a peek here. Let me, if I haven't git initted this yet, or let me see here. Okay, I've got nothing here. So git init. I'm just going to save what we have here for a sec, Giovanni, and we can just kind of explore that real quickly. So, all right, so let's just do, these are just my aliases, G for git, CI for commit, and I'll just say initial commit. 10,000 changes. Is there no, there's no git ignore. Okay, wait, hold on a sec. Okay, let's do npx git ignore node. If you haven't seen this before, this just automatically generates a git ignore for the language or framework / runtime you want to use. So let's do that. And my 10K changes there should be reduced drastically, I think. I may have to restart VS Code. It might have died when it saw those changes, but or let me undo all the change, or actually, let's just do a git add. I did that already. All right, let's just close my VS Code for a sec because I feel like I might have made it go toast. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and hide this here. Okay, let's start up VS Code again. Also, thanks already for all the conversations. Okay, yeah, so we got 60 changes now. That's a little better. So let's just do initial commit, and we'll just do GitHub repo create, uh, push existing local there. We'll just put it to there. Okay, so this is public if people want to grab it. I'm basically just going through literally the documentation, but I'll post it here if people just want to go ahead and pull that down. But to Giovanni's point, I have a feeling you could probably just pull out SSR. So let's just do this for a sec. Let's just delete these. I'm not saying it's going to work. Okay, and yes, I want to add a remote. Forgot to finish here. Origin. Yeah. Okay, that's good. So we've deleted the things here, and it's been like a little less than a month, but okay, yeah, it's just npm run dev. Cool. All right, so let's just do nr dev. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so okay, server unavailable. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's looking for the SSR. Okay, so there's just a few other things we need to look for. Maybe let me just look for SSR. Okay, we don't need it in the package lock. We don't need to worry about that, or that. Nitro routes. Okay, so maybe it's not as simple as just omitting that. We'll have to look into that, Giovanni. But maybe that's probably a great issue to open on the TanStack Start repository, actually, because at the moment I don't really have time to explore that. I kind of want to continue through the docs here, but let's just do git reset hard head. That's clear. And let's just get this up and running again. Okay, what's it complaining about? We haven't even started and I broke something. What's going on? Okay, conflicting configuration paths were found. Let's see here. Let's just do a git clean. So this is my git very clean, but it's just a git clean dash dfx. Let's just reinstall stuff and we'll get going. While that's just installing, which was lightning fast, I'm just going to check socials real quickly. Okay, cool. Thanks for the retweet or repost on Blue Sky, Vetsu Code, and nice. We got some people. Oh, hey, cool, Ankita. Glad you're going to be joining us. Cool. And yeah, well, cool. We got my old CEO from Netlify giving us a retweet on Twitter over there too. Okay, so everything's back. Okay, let's just close these. This is good old TypeScript and ESLint servers restarting. Okay, let's try npm run dev. Okay, so we're getting a duplicate. Maybe this is something I changed at the end of the last stream. So let's just go take a peek at that. That's still running, so we can fix it. Okay, let me just load this up. Okay, there we go. Okay, it works. Here, I'll zoom in. But there is some conflict, so let me go look at that. Unless, warning, a not found error with root ID root. Okay, let's see. What did I break last time when we wrapped things up? So oh, interesting. I'm not sure why the build artifacts, like the abouts, the JSs are there. That's what's causing the conflict. Cool. Let's remove that. It's very odd that, yeah, okay, so it seems to be fine now. I'm not sure why I ended up with those JS files. It might have been something funky I did at the end of the stream last time. So yeah, so if we come here, let's reload. Okay, I think I just toasted stuff. So let's just start over. Let's do npm run dev. All right, there we go. We back. We good. We are so back. Okay. So again, not sure what, because like when you compile TypeScript, for folks newer to TypeScript, if you are, basically when you compile TypeScript, it generates JavaScript. But there is a mode where it's like it put the output path of the build artifacts right into the app folder. I'm not sure why. But anyways, that's cleaned up. I'm just going to actually clean up my repo that I just pushed. So if we look, we've got just initial commit and git update. I always forget this. Reset to initial commit. I'm going to get this one Stack Overflow post that I always go back to just to do this one thing. And I don't create an alias for this because it is dangerous. So I'm okay with, going back. All right, so let's just add this, and there we go. Why do we have? Oh yeah, 53. That looks a little better. So the JavaScript build artifacts from the build are gone now. I'm not sure why they were there, but let's go back, initial commit, and I'm gonna do a git push force. This is my alias, but it's actually push force with lease, which is actually a better approach to if you have to push force. This is my own repo anyways. Nobody else is in it. So, okay, we're back to a clean slate. Good, good, good. Okay, I'm going to close the sidebar because we want real estate here in the editor. And we're going to start up the dev server again. So we got Vinci running and we are good. So I'm just going to hide that. And if we come back here, we are good. Okay, cool. And I'll just kind of recap a couple things that one thing that I thought was cool. Is it? Yeah, it's in the index. Okay, where is it? So there's this. So for folks that might have missed the last stream, basically when this counter goes up here, there's a, let me add the count file. There's this count file. This is obviously not something you do for production, but you can see here, as I update the counter, you see that it's persisting it to our account database, the text file, and it basically server renders it by requesting. There's a server function to get the actual value from the count.txt file. So like this would simulate like if you were in a database. But let me just show you something here. And this is a nice feature. So we've got this read count, and yeah, so we have this create server function. So essentially it's a REST call. It does a get, and then it's calling this return read count, which is just this function here, which returns a number. And if there is no number in the file, it defaults to 0. Okay, so now if we come back here to, where is it? There was an invalidate. Yeah, a validator. Wait. Oh yeah, okay. So I'm gonna comment this out for a second. Okay, so this is when I click the button. Now you're gonna notice I'm clicking it now, and the number is not changing. But let's go to the count file, which is our air quotes database, and you're gonna see here it's actually updating. So it's being cached right now. In our case, and maybe most of the time you do want to invalidate it, but it's explicit. And there could be reasons why you don't want to invalidate it right away. Like maybe you're okay with the stale data for now. So just wanted to point that out. So there you go. It refreshed with the dev server, and we're back to 86, which is the actual count. And if we go to the count again, boom, 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 boom. There we go. Cool. Anyways, just wanted to kind of recap that. Okay, let's go back to the docs. And did I lose the docs? I really did. Okay, cool. I'm gonna put the docs maybe on another desktop on my Mac, just so we can come back to them. Okay, let's go. Also, shout out daily.dev. Okay, let me go to the docs again here. A side note about the docs, but I actually like the color scheme. It's nice. I just like, from a design perspective, I like that the TanStack part is subtle and not bolded, and then you have colors bolded for each. But anyways, I digress. So we were on Learn the Basics, and a couple of other things to mention if we come back here is for this is not TanStack Start specific, but if it's really TanStack Router specific, but that's part of TanStack Start. So notice how we have these routes here. And this is how we're able to, or not us, but this is how TanStack Router is able to get type safety in terms of the route. So like right now we have about and slash for the root. So if we come back here, and I showed this last time, but like, let's just say we switch this about to a Canadian about, a boot, you're going to see right away, okay, a boot is not assignable. So already we've got the type safety. That alone is awesome in TanStack Router. Okay, so that's good now. Now I'm going to add another link and we'll just say, I don't know, we'll just go with my classic YOLO. And we'll just say YOLO, and it's going to complain that that doesn't exist, which is 100% correct. And we do want it to be like that. So I'm going to create a new route. And what you're going to notice is in the route tree gen, you see all of a sudden while the dev server is running, it adds another one. So it's explicitly inserted into this route tree gen.ts file. And this is at least part of how you get the type safety of your routes. So I wanted to call it YOLO. I believe the route gen tree should regenerate with the proper. It might not have. Let's see here. This should be, where is it? Index. Okay. Route tree gen did it. Okay. Failed to save route tree gen.ts. The contents file of the file is newer. Okay. Let's say overwrite. Sure. It could have been because I renamed it. Maybe. I'm not sure. But let's do this. Let's index about YOLO. Let's just fix this. This will be export, create file route YOLO. And then we'll just call this YOLO. Again, this is just a quick recap. And I'm literally copy pasting this again, but this should really just be, we should have a nav component. But anyways, it's a live stream. Cool, cool, cool. All right. So it's still complaining there. Let's stop the dev server and let's try it again, maybe. Okay, see, now it's good. It regenerated it properly. I don't know if that's an issue with when, let's hide this. Yeah, so we got YOLO here now. I'm not sure if that's an issue with renaming files after you create the route, or maybe it's something I did. But anyway, so you got this new route now. And if we just go to YOLO, we'll just say YOLO. Always ship on Friday at 11:59 p.m. All right, cool. And I toasted stuff here. We're back. Okay, so here, okay, I clearly missed something. I broke something when I renamed it, I think. Okay, yeah, there we go. Would help if I called it YOLO. There we go. Okay, cool. So we got our stuff here. Anyways, that was just a kind of a quick recap. I really do think it's the TanStack router is great in terms of the type safety there. Okay, let's go back to the doc. So, and you know what? Maybe it's actually easier to just have it on the same page or same desktop. Okay, so yeah, so it all starts with the router, like we were saying. And then there's the route tree generation I mentioned. And then there's the server entry point, which we saw. And again, to Giovanni's question, I'm not sure how we completely remove the SSR part. If we want a purely CSR, I feel like Tanner could answer that better, or I could dig into it. I did work on the frameworks team at Nellify, but kind of want to continue through things here. So, and then there's the client entry point. And so like we can go through these things again real quick, or maybe we didn't cover this at the end. But essentially we're hydrating the root, it's the document, and then we're we're starting the client, and we're passing in a router here. And if we look at the start component, I think this we won't have access to. That's in, yeah, that's in the package. But essentially, that's your starting point on the client side. It takes over from the server hydration. I've been drinking a lot of water today. Um, yeah, and there's also the root route. Say that 10 times fast of your app, and it's the entry point for your app. So if we look at that, I'll shrink this down a bit. I like to have it zoomed in, usually just so people can read it better. But essentially, there's a few things in here. So there's the head part here. So that's literally for your head tag in markup. And we're adding some things here like a meta HTML tag with like just the usual stuff, char set, etc. And then a title. And we're saying that that's the root component and that's the start. And then we have this concept of outlets, and outlets are like basically where your page gets inserted. If you've done any Remix or I guess React Router now, outlets a pretty common thing there too. And this will also allow you to do nested routes, which I think we might have gone through briefly last time. I'm not sure. Okay, so that's that there. And yeah, let's see here. There's the whole routing guide. We won't go through the whole routing guide. I encourage you to check it out. I can drop a link to that. Cool. And I think I missed some chat. Oh, whoops. Oh, sorry, Tanner. The chat in StreamYard hadn't scrolled. Yeah, someone asked about spa mode. It's coming. Okay, cool. All right, nice. Yeah, thanks, Tanner. And also, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. I know you're a busy man, so super cool that you're joining the stream again. Yeah, yeah, it's Giovanni. Oh, I guess you know. I guess you know Giovanni. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right. So, anyways, you can get your answers there. Awesome. Cool. So, like I said, we're just continuing to go through the docs here. Uh, one, again, like honestly, they're great docs, but I just kind of want to try and cover as much things as we can. And, maybe in a follow up stream, we can actually build something as opposed to just like literally verbatim going through the docs. But I think it's just good. There's a lot of good stuff in here. Cool. I also like that they used a count.txt file instead of a database or something. Just keep it simple. Um, but also, wouldn't it be fun to ship a text file as your database to prod? I know you want to. All right, I'm spilling water here everywhere. Give me one sec. Hydrating too much, but I don't really want to hydrate my desk. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Hey, Gur Feisty. Thanks for joining. Oh, hey, Roxy. Oh, cool, cool. Yeah, I forgot your handle is different over on YouTube. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so we can go again through here real quickly. And Tanner mentioned this briefly. I haven't worked with server functions really, whether that's in Next.js or Solids. I went through like a solid start similar to this. My old coworker Ryan and his crew are like doing really great work over there. And I know there's lots of cross-pollination between the projects. But essentially the create server function, you're still just doing REST calls like Tanner said last stream. And it's just kind of convenient to, it's kind of smoke and mirrors. You call a client side function, but under the hood, you're actually hitting the server. That's kind of the best way I would explain it. And compiler wise, I think it just knows, I'm guessing, because there's no special syntax from what I can see here, but I think if you see if it detects like a create server function, maybe when it's parsing the AST or something, it just knows, okay, we've got a server function in here, and it'll probably create a separate bundle from the client one, I'm guessing. Tanner, if you want to elaborate in a TLDR, if you want in the chat, go for it. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, and again, this is just doing an update count. Okay. Oh, mitosis. Cool, cool, cool. Mitosis is very cool. Let me just find. I did a live stream with Sammy from Builder.io a while ago. think it was like a year and a half ago. Mitosis, yeah, mitosis. Let me just look in my own YouTube. 1 second here. The mitosis project. No, not my work one, but also shout out work. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, cool. Okay. Anyways, mitosis is a cool project too, but okay, yeah, gotcha. All right. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So essentially, this was our basic route, and we're using the router, and then we're using loader data. And I first saw loaders in Remix. I'm not sure if that's where you grabbed that from, Tanner, or maybe you had started loaders before. I'm not sure. I feel like the Remix folks or like React Router now folks might have, but not positive about that. Either way, it's good to see the ideas there too. All right. Um, okay, you're not seeing the ssr.tsx in the docs. Anyways, I'll let you chat in the chat there, Giovanni, with Tanner while I'm just going through here. So yeah, again, back to the links, like I was saying, you got complete type safety thanks to TanStack router. So essentially, you just can't, you in theory, not in theory, as you just can't have a bad route. And this is kind of huge. And like, I know, well, I'm guessing there's a bunch of people who are kind of aware of some of the origins of like the stuff Tanner worked on, but like he worked, there's the place he works at, Nozzle, they just tons of dashboards, tons of query params in the query string. So he had a real need for something like TanStack router. So that's why it exists. And we're starting to see, I think in the ecosystem, I think Remix has some semblance of one. There's a, I think if you go to the TanStack router, there's a comparison table, but there's other people trying to get on it. Okay, yeah, they did pioneer the loaders. TSR's loaders are a bit different, isomorphic instead of server only. Oh, okay, gotcha. Cool, nice. Yeah, and then yeah, like we were saying, the server functions, they're just remote procedure calls. So it's just a nice thing to have here. And cool, cool, cool. And you can see here, this is nice. So there's a server function created here, and it ties into using, they're using Zod here. Not sure if you can use other validators like Valibot. There's a new standard schema that's out. So uh, I feel like the stuff Tanner does is usually is pretty generic in the sense you can plug in what you want. But I'm not sure if something like Valibot is available in the validation here right now, or if you just could, I guess you could just potentially just use Valibot, maybe not in the chain syntax right now, but like the Fluent API that's going on here. Okay, anyways, let's just kind of continue down here. So we got the mutation. Okay, it is coming. Cool, cool. Nice. Yeah, I know Fabian will probably be pretty happy. And it's cool to see. I think Standard Schema was, his name's escaping me, but the creator of Zod, I teamed up with like Fabian's team on Validbot and maybe some other validation libraries. Okay, it is Standard Schema. Okay, cool. Nice. Also, for folks that might not be aware of what I'm talking about, Standard Schema valid. Standard Schema. This should be the right repo, I think. Yeah, it is. Cool. I'm going to just go ahead and drop this here. Definitely check that out. And yeah, I can see Fabian's in there. And is it Colin? Yeah, that's, yeah, Colin from Zod and Fabian from Valibot. Oh, and I see Dax is in there too. Yeah, and shout out. Let's just go give this a star. Cool. Anyways, all over the map here, sorry, but there's just lots of cool stuff and interesting stuff to talk about in the ecosystem as we go through this. So yeah, so here we've got some mutations. So and we kind of saw this before, like I was showing the count, so we won't go back to that, but you saw where if we come back, I'll just show the code briefly, but I won't change it again. If we go into index, yeah, here. Oh, you know what? Let's just show it one more time. Why not? Showtime. Okay, let's bring this back over here. And so basically, if you don't invalidate by default, and let's show the counter again. I don't know. I think this is just a really cool demo to show this feature in action. So we've got our database, like I said, which is count.txt, and I'm going to just keep updating. And you notice that the count updates. Um, Again, we might not want to invalidate the cache for whatever reason. Like maybe what we're showing is good enough for now. Like it's not like somebody's heart rate or something, or some critical system that needs to have up to date. So, but if you do want it up to date, if we just uncomment the router invalidate and we come back to the count, you're going to see it syncs up again. So that's basically what that was. And again, shout out to Simplicity with that count text file. Okay, cool. So that's essentially what this is. Here, they're just, they're calling a DB, but it can be whatever, some asynchronous thing that updates something. All right, cool. And yeah, so let's talk about the data loading. Tanner kind of touched on this when I was asking about it. So the loaders are isomorphic. So like he was mentioning, because that's how I thought they worked. But in something like Remix or I guess React Router now with a Vite plugin or whatever you call Remix now, the loader was only server side. This one is isomorphic, meaning you can run it on the client too. And it's performing server only logic, and it calls a server function from within the loader. And saying here, it's similar to TanStack query, data loaders are cached on the client and reused and even refreshed in the background when the data is stale. Okay, cool, nice, cool. It's nice to see these primitives. Like I'm sure there's a primitive block of TanStack query and the loaders, and I know Tanner mentioned to me when we were at Netlify Compose, TanStack router has like a mini React query in it. So I'm guessing there's something common in all those, obviously. Okay, so let's go look at the server functions now. And basically, this is like we were kind of talking about before, but you can do this. It can be invoked almost anywhere, even on the client, but it literally only runs on the server. It's just I think a few people lost their minds when what was it? I think it was the last NextConf or whatever, but Sam Selikoff showed that DB query in a server function, and people are like, "Oh my God, raw SQL!" And I think some people thought it was like literally on the client side, and it was just like all kinds of memes and stuff, but also it really wasn't accurate. But he was using a database query just to just show something simple. But anyways, so it really is running on the server like it says, but you can actually run it from the server or the client. And like it's saying here too, you can use it in loaders, hooks, components, etc. Okay, and let's see here. So they're like API routes in that they have a context when you do the request. So, okay, so this is nice. So you can have access to the headers, set cookies, etc. They can access sensitive information, which makes sense because this is literally on the server side, not the client side. So don't mix it up with like, your Vite underscore environment variables that are part of a build normally on the client side. Well, they could be used on the server side too, but these are like actual environment variables that are only server side. And it's nice. So it can return primitives like serializable JSON objects and even raw response objects. So that's cool. And for anybody that's done any kind of chat apps, like getting a readable stream coming in, or just reading the raw response could be useful. Okay. So this is something that I have to read up on. So yeah, I thought they were React server functions, what you're doing here, Tanner. So it's your own flavor of it, I guess. So okay, so the main thing is they're agnostic to a front end framework. That's very cool. And they're backed by standard HTTP requests and can be called as often as you like. Okay, yeah, I guess this serial execution bottleneck is what I've heard Adam Rakis talk about this before. Like you can literally only call one React server function, and then you have to wait for that to finish for the next one. If that's what he meant, I find that kind of wild. Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, it is totally awesome that they're server agnostic, Giovanni. Okay, so they use the use server under the hood. In fact, you can use server if you want. Let me go put this on the Jumbotron for people. So you can use server if you want, but you won't get goodies like validation, middleware, etc. Oh, okay. So you could use, I guess you could use server if your framework required it. I guess that's what you're saying, Tanner. But you just don't get the other goodies that you get from the agnostic one. I think that's what you mean. Cool. Um, yeah. No, that's pretty cool that they are agnostic because like I mean, not that I'm about to create a framework or anything, but I feel like you could create a whole like API with RPCs with that and wired into almost anything potentially. So that's cool. All right. Yeah. So just going through here, I know we're not doing a lot of coding, but I personally find this super interesting, kind of digging into this stuff. It's partially because I used to work on the frameworks team at Netlify, but also I think it's just good to go through these just going through the architecture and talking about it. Oh, no way. That's cool. So that's awesome that Solid Start's using that. I'm excited to see if Solid Start, because I remember what Ryan was saying. Like there's the solid router that ships with Solid Start by default, I think, but it's router agnostic. So essentially, I almost wonder if essentially TanStack Start eventually becomes like a TanStack Solid Start. You know what I mean? The only difference is you're plugging in Solid instead of React, maybe. But I don't know. Maybe you've had those conversations. I know you started with Bling a while ago, and then that kind of evolved into Solid Start and TanStack Start now. Um, I think Bling was the first version of create server function, maybe, or your implementation of server functions, from what I remember. I think. Anyways, cool. Giovanni's got a question. I'm just gonna put it up here, and I'm pretty sure Tanner will answer you in the chat there. But am I forced to have all my server functions run on the same server node, or could I choose to have some server function be deployed to one node and another to a second node? Interesting. So kind of like sharding your functions. Huh. Okay, that's nice. Awesome. That's cool. Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in Solid too. I know Dev Agrawal. I tried out his use socket, and he's on the core team now. I don't know. That's pretty cool stuff. Anyways, nerding out here. Yeah, cool. So I'll just pop that up there. Yeah. So essentially, we already have an example of a server function, but we can see here we're creating a function. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and copy this maybe. Might as well do a bit of code, right? Cool. I'm gonna zoom this out a bit. Let me know if that's still pretty sure it's still readable. I'm just always mindful when people are watching the stream that and even after the replay. Okay. Okay, yeah, true. So like if you ship to like Dino or Cloudflare for Edge, gotcha. Cool. All right, so let's do that. Let's get rid of this. Uh, let's add this. Okay, so we got get server time here. And okay, so this isn't being used yet, but so essentially we're creating a server function and it's got a handler. The handler's async. And then we're gonna, with a promise, we're just gonna sleep for a second and then we're gonna return a date time. So let's just call it that. And let me make sure. So like if we look at where the get count is, which is down here, where was it? Fine, update count. Oh yeah, it's here. Update count. Oh no, that was get count. Gotcha. Cool. Let's create a new thing here. So let's just do const. Actually, I don't even need to do that. I already have the time. So let's just go to update count. We got down here. Let's create another button. So let's just do not button, although maybe it is a tasty button. Who knows? All right. Button. Let's give it. What time is it, dog? And let's just do a. I always mix up the HTML element. Is it time or date time? Oh no, it's time with date time. That's right, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. And then let's put in the actual time here. That's gonna get returned. Uh, update count. Data. Data. Okay. We'll just say latest time, and then yeah, we'll just leave it both. Okay. Latest time. This doesn't exist yet. Cool. And let's just do an on click. And let's just do this. Just doing it inline, keeping it easy peasy. And we're gonna get server time. Not gonna use just a promise syntax. Well, not the promise, the chaining. Gonna avoid that. Get server time const uh, time equals. Oh yeah, I gotta make this async. Okay, that's all good. And then let's just go add some state here. And let's just do const equals. And let's just do use state. I can probably use a loader data, but I'm just going to start off with this. We're going to say string. We need to use state. Cool. And we'll just say, we'll start off with null. Why not? Okay, sure. Undefined. Oh yeah, got to do ba 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 or I know there's still debate about null or undefined, but it's kind of annoying in JavaScript because like some things return null. So anyways, latest time, set latest time. Cool. And let's come down here. And we've got that date time, string or null. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Cool, cool. So whatever, I'm gonna ignore that. I'll assume, you know what? Let's just make it easier. Let's just start off with an empty time. Where'd my thing go? Cool. All right, and we're gonna set latest time. Move your video clip to the right. Oh yeah, gotcha. Sorry, yeah, I totally see what you're talking about. Hold on a sec here. I'm not sure if I can move that. Maybe put it on the side. Yeah, that's actually very interesting. Why can't I move it? You know what? I'll just keep this over like this for now. I see myself over there now, so I'll stop it like here. Cool. Sorry about that. Thanks for mentioning that, though. Appreciate it. Yeah, in StreamYard, I don't know if I can position it over there. Yeah, yeah. The beauties of live streaming. Okay, so let's get back to my time here, and then I'm just going to do set latest time, and let's come back to here. All right, what time is it, dog? There we go. Okay, that looks terrible. Let me fix that. Okay. What time is it? Boom, boom, boom. Let's just put this in a div. Cool. And let's save that. And let's just keep it easy style wise. I don't have Tailwind installed at the moment. So let's just do style. And we'll do display grid. And whoops, that's got to be a string. Let's do gap. Do 8 pixels. Sounds good. Cool, cool, cool. So what time is it, dog? There we go. Cool. And I'll click it again, and you can see it updates there. Nice. Cool, cool. All right. Now I'm looking at what he was doing with the router dot invalidate because like he doesn't in the example you don't need to do set state. So let's kind of clean that up. So this is kind of like that would be my naive way of doing it, I guess. So like we go to update count. Okay, it is a server function, and there's the handler, and then where is it? Oh yeah, it's the file route. Okay, it's the loader that gets the count. I wonder if I can get both, maybe. Let's see here. We can maybe do that. I'm. I guess this is a quick question for you, Tanner. Can you have multiple loaders on a page, or a page component, not a page itself, or should I just, in this case, like I can be lazy here, but I might just return an array of the stuff and access the loader data because, like, if we come here, the loader data, that's the count. I'm gonna do that for now, just to see here. So if we do this, okay. This is kind of a silly one, but we can do, let's say, uh, const get time, and we'll just make it this whole thing here. Await get time. Did I do that right? Hold on a sec. Oh yeah, I gotta return it. Okay, yeah, so return await get time. Skipping stuff here. Expression expected. That's because I'm not finished up here. And we can do that. And then I'm guessing if I come down here to my loader, I'm going to go await get count, await get time. So I'm using the same thing in two places. So I could do the get time. I probably just need to do, I'm looking at this, get count, create. I know get count is a server function. So sorry, let me just undo what I did there. 2 seconds. Ba, 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 ba. So we're going to see the isomorphic work here for the loader. So I'll clean this up in a second. So we don't need this now. And we're going to just return an array here. I could do a promise.all, obviously, but let's just gonna be lazy for the moment. So now the loader is going to be, I'm going to keep state as it is, and we'll say latest time. And I'm basically just destructuring the array that the loader returns. And I no longer need this. I just have to say get server time, I guess. And I might be doing this wrong. Hold on a sec. Latest time, latest time. Yeah, okay. Stringer number, whatever. Update count. I just want to look at how they have it structured. Oh yeah, it's the whole thing here. We're just doing a get similar, and then they had their get count. Okay, I see. It's just because trying to see here because there's essentially two server functions. So I could do a server function which is just my get date, and then that would return the read count. Maybe with my example, it's not as good because it's the time's gonna be different every time, but essentially we can do that if we get rid of use state, get server time, and we're gonna return it. And you know what? Let's maybe do that. Get count. The loader will kick in if the count changes, I guess. So I want to see something here. If we don't even bother with this button for the moment, just going to comment it out. And we got the date time here. Okay, I don't want to check this right now. It's a number, but we can just do, we could just do this actually. Let's do lazy way to get a string. And when it's, okay, cool. Let's refresh this. Okay, so when it first loads, we get a time. Oh yeah, sorry, thanks. This is uh thanks for that, Tanner. It's funny when Brian, who's the one that runs the CFE, when I first started, I always had the banner hanging because I was getting used to restream. So, anyways, thanks for that. Cool. So I'm gonna see here now. Yeah, okay. So I'll just explain a bit here. Let's drag this over and I'll shrink this. So I didn't add a, so there's still the get server time here. It's a server function. But when the count gets updated, the loader reruns. So I get the latest server time as well. So that's why when I do this, it updates as well. Now, if we do the same thing with the invalidate, I'm guessing, actually, this is a quick question, Tanner. If I don't do the router dot invalidate, does that mean it turns off the isomorphic loader? So that it'll only, like, it's just bypassing it? Because like right now, my date time isn't kicking in, which means the loader client side isn't running. That's my understanding, I think, just at least from what I'm exhibiting. Cool. If I undo this again, and then we should see it kick in. There we go. And yeah. And if I keep going, we get different times. The time comes in a little later because the count updates slower because the time has there's a sleep in there for 1 second. But anyways, yeah. So essentially, the loader, at least that's what I've understood. The loader, when you don't invalidate the router here, or the route, yeah. If you don't do router dot invalidate, this doesn't kick in on the client side. That's kind of what I understand. Yeah, sure. Okay, so let's just go again here. So I took this out of the docs. Where is it here? So we just have, it's literally a sleep with a promise for 1 second. So we're creating the server function and there's a handler, it's async. Um, I imagine you'd have context here as well. We're not using it at the moment. And then we're just awaiting for 1 second. And once that resolves, we're returning a date to ISO string. And then basically where that gets loaded is, I was asking Tanner before if you can have multiple loaders on a page. And I'm not sure if you can, but anyways, I was just kind of fudging things here where I was just saying load all the stuff I need. I just put it into an array. And since these are awaiting both, I would probably just switch this to a promise.all just for good measure. And we can just do this. Should give us the same thing. Let me just get rid of that. What did I do wrong? Oh yeah, I just don't know how to type. There we go. And if we come back here, and you know what, let's just get rid of that 1 second delay because it's I'm not liking it. Cool. But anyways, the delays there obviously don't do that in prod. That's just to show that something's happening on the server side. So now if we come here, we can see, there we go. Cool, cool, cool. All right, we're at 155. We haven't gone too much further actually in the docs, to be honest. We still haven't. I'm happy to keep doing these TanStack router streams for a while. I'm assuming there's some interest in continuing to work on these streams with TanStack router because I think it would definitely be good to go through middleware and then the API routes, and then definitely digging into the SSR. Um, yeah. So we got about 5 minutes left, just because I have a work meeting soon. Yeah, there is a lot to cover, and I honestly don't mind. We're not going at a snail's pace, but I actually enjoy going through this deeper this way. So yeah, so like let's just kind of see what's next here, and actually let's just wrap up the server functions. So just to reiterate, where can you call them? You can call them from server side because it is server side code, client side, and other server functions because they are on the server. Um, okay, this is interesting. Server functions cannot be called an API routes. Um, I'm guessing that's because of the way things get bundled, Tanner. But it does make sense that you would share the logic, though. Like for example, like you obviously it's very simplified, but the get count that we have here in the loader, that's pulling out our air quotes business logic. And okay, I appreciate it. Thanks, Giovanni. Um, so I'm just guessing it's the way the API routes and server functions get bundled, which is why you would need to uh, like like it says in the docs, share the business logic, because you'll probably end up with another chunk which is the business logic with some other common things, the server functions in another chunk in the build, and the API routes in another one. I'm guessing, at least from what I've seen, having worked on supporting frameworks. Okay, so server functions accept a single parameter. So it can be pretty much all the primitive types, but and then you get some arrays and objects, form data, which is nice. Um, actually, it's nice to see form data coming back. Not that it was ever gone, but like my talk at Netlify at Compose last year was about how we kind of forgot how to use forms, because you can literally post stuff to a server without a form, and like we're doing but there's so much in the form API in the web spec that you can just leverage, and a lot of times you don't even need to do, like, there's the classic, like if you have a control component and then you've got a use state, or however you're managing this state. But like, even though it's imperative, the form data, like a form itself has all the data already. So um, I think it's great to have access with the form data. There's also the readable stream and a promise, like they mentioned above. This is, I think this will be a kind of a good place to end. But one thing that I'll be very transparent about is I don't understand promise serialization. And what I mean is, like, when you have a promise on the client side or the server side, essentially there's the event loop, and there's like, you know, there's the whole micro task queue that runs, and then it does all the promises. But I don't understand how you not hydrate, but why can't I think of the opposite of hydrate? Dehydrate, I guess. I don't understand how you, like, I understand how you could dehydrate a promise into some textual form, and then you rehydrate it and turn it into a function. But I don't understand how an actual promise crosses the server to client boundary. Like, for example, you started the promise on the server where you said, like, get the time, like where we have here right now. And then on the client side, if the promise didn't resolve before, like, the client started asking for this hydrated promise, I don't get how you're able to uh, resolve or reject the promise on the server side, and then all of a sudden it's still running as it's coming across the pipe, is what I mean. And I'm gonna read up on it, but that's the main thing. Okay, so it's just okay. So it's not some kind of magic. Okay, it's kind of what I thought. Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. Okay. That makes a lot more sense to me. No, thanks for that. Cool. I'll definitely read up a bit more on that. But yeah, and we'll just wrap up with the server function section here. But basically, we've got runtime input validation. So we talked about this before. Okay, readable streams too. Okay, cool. Yeah, I got to read up on that because that's like, I mean, I'm sure there's other parts of the frameworks that might not be clear to me, but that was a big one. Cool. And we kind of touched on this, but we talked about standard schema. We saw Zod in place here. But essentially, you can validate on server side. You should be obviously do client side validation. It's better UX, but at the end of the day, you still have to. You always need to validate on the server because that's the source of truth. And then, like it's saying here, using a validation library. And as Tanner mentioned, it's coming soon. You'll be able to use Validbot and stuff too because it's standard schema. We got the type safety just because TypeScript and all the wizardry they do. And cool, what else here? So you can see here, if we look at this, so we're passing in, it's better to use unknown than any because unknown means like literally, I know it sounds silly to say, but you have no idea what it is. And when you pass in any, it's like, yeah, it could be anything and we can say it's anything. So here it's just checking. It's basically doing it's guarding here. It's doing some checks. So if the person's not an object or it's null, it's not a person. Then we're doing some checks here for properties. Okay, so if name is in person dot name is not a string, it must be a string, etc. And then after that, typically people will probably tell you it's not good to cast, but I think at this point, you can say, because we're going from unknown, so I don't think you can avoid the cast here. You can say it's a person. And then from there, we just return the data, and then we can say hello data.name. And what else here? We did the type safety. There's a lot of inference. And this is something I was talking to somebody yesterday. They were asking, like, I'm trying to get started with TypeScript and, should I learn JavaScript first or TypeScript? And I told them, unless you're a library author like Tanner, where you're doing a ton of stuff with TypeScript, a lot of application code is literally going to just look like regular JavaScript typically. So like you can see here with Zod here, you didn't have to add a type to this. This create server function will return a type, and so that gets inferred here. So this looks like plain JavaScript. It literally is plain JavaScript, but it's in TypeScript. And then non-validated here, we're saying, yeah, so use a validation library, obviously. Cool. There's a few other things here. I mentioned, though, you can use JSON. There's form data. And so, yeah, all those things there. And then we'll just talk about the server function context, and maybe we'll stop there. But Tanner mentioned this in the chat, so or maybe I was reading it, but you can access the session cookies, the headers and stuff. And this is really nice because I know like in Next.js, and I'm not trying to knock on Next.js or anything, but like there's some of these things like that you can't access on the server side, as far as I know. Again, I haven't done too much with. I had to support RSCs at Netlify, but I haven't really built a lot of stuff with RSCs yet. But it's just kind of nice. You have access to the raw request here, which is super cool. And yeah, so accessing the request context. Okay, so we've got our server function handler. So I was wrong before when I was saying like probably the context is in the parameters here, but it's not. You just explicitly ask to get it. So, and then you can do whatever you need to do there. So that's cool. Yeah, accessing headers. A lot of this stuff, I'm not going to go through the rest too much, but I encourage you folks to just read through that. And we're definitely going to do, I don't know, I'm looking at the docs here. I think we're going to do at least 2 more streams on TanStack. And maybe Tanner at some point, like maybe once we've gone through a bunch of it, if you want to come hang on the stream sometime, that'd be awesome. But I know you're super busy, so if that's not doable, don't sweat it. But yeah, so this is kind of where we left off. So if folks want to kind of continue reading there, check out the docs. Again, and gonna give a big shout out to all the maintainers of the TanStack whole stack. Um, I don't know all of them, but I know like TK Dodo is in there. I've streamed with Kevin before, Van Cott. He's doing some great work, as well as Corbin Crutchley. And I know there's others, and anybody that's contributed to the projects, just appreciate it. And OSS for the win. Let's wrap it up there, and we'll see you in the next one. The next one won't be a TanStack. I'm going to be doing one. Okay, let's give the shout outs here. I want to give out shout outs also to Manuel Schiller, Sean Cazier, and Chris Horabin as well. So awesome work. I know you're all doing great work there. Yeah, I have another stream set up. We're securing LLMs, like if you want to run self-hosted LLMs in my next stream. But after that, I'm going to speak to Brian, who runs CFE. I think we're going to do at least 2 more TanStack streams, because there's a lot of good stuff in here. And who knows? Well, we'll basically go through all of it until it's done. That's it. Cool. Yeah. So let's put this up. Shout out for the MVPs. Cool. Nice. All right. Thanks, everybody. Great chat today. Thanks again, Tanner, as well, for joining us again. And we'll see you in the next one.